And welcome to another episode of Dubai Works Business Podcast, episode number 105. And today we're talking all things kids and innovation. But first, I want to special mention that this show is powered by Zbooni. Zbooni app gives businesses free tools to start, run, and grow online. They accept payments and build an e-store and create mobile invoices in minutes. While the interview is brought to you by Zbooni, the guest stories are told on their own. And the guest today is Simona I sorry, Simona, how do I say your surname?
Simona Agolini.
Agolini. Oh, very nice. Yeah. I should have checked that, but I did read that you speak 9 languages, so you're going to be a lot better at pronunciations than I am. But I'll give it a go again. Today we're joined by Simona Agolini, the founder and CEO of QiDZ mobile app. They were facing a problem of finding good value deals and relevant things to do with her family. So she and co-founders created this company. QiDZ is a parenting mobile app that is creating a buzz in Saudi Arabia. Parents can get inspiration from listings and book family-related activities. It started off in 2017 and expanded across the region. It now has reached more than 150,000 families. And Simona, today we're going to talk about the story of QiDZ, how it all started, how the last year has been, and then other innovative ideas that you guys have come up with. So welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Lovely to be here.
Great. So let's get straight into it. Can you tell us a little bit more about the QiDZ mobile app?
Yeah, absolutely. So you did a great intro, and well done on pronouncing my name well. As you said, I speak 8 languages, so
Okay.
it's many, but it's not the 9. Look, I come from a busy corporate background. Prior to becoming an entrepreneur, I worked in the oil and gas industry for many years, and my co-founders and partners are also ex-corporate businesswomen. And as we started our own motherhood journeys, you are juggling many things. Your life has changed completely. And basically, what we found is that we couldn't find the things that we were looking for when trying to find good family plans for the weekend or after-school activities. And the information is really fragmented. You can Google, you can refer to different publications, but it was never in one consolidated place. So we thought, well, since the 5 of us, were all looking for things, probably other people are too. So basically, we came up with an idea. Let's see if we can create a product that actually would help other parents find those things, and that's kind of how QiDZ was born.
Okay, amazing. And what's the journey been like? So from the idea, spotting the gap in the market, how did you approach it? Did you design a logo? Did you create a website? How's it kind of evolved over the last few years?
I think we had myself and 2 of my co-founders had always sort of harbored our own wishes to have our own business. So we never had really thought of put some effort into it. And then I think in January of 2017, we basically sat down one day and said, what could we do? And is this a product that would make sense? And the 3 of us, the original 3, were fully on board that we thought that this would make sense. And so we'd never started a business before. We'd never developed an app before or anything. So it definitely was a learning journey, but we basically put together a business case and said, okay, how many parents are out there? What kind of products would they be interested in? Who's our target market? What brand? Brand was a long discussion. You asked about that. How do you come up with a logo? Actually, this is where you find out that people have very different views on things and personalities. So that was a good, very good experience. And you put together a business case, and then you find partners who can help you build the platform. And it's been an incredible journey. So going from idea to actually launching is a very, very exciting and stressful time.
Interesting. I think the interesting thing about starting a business at that time in Dubai is that, mobile penetration and digital penetration are quite high. So, provided you can provide the gap in the market that you've identified is a real one. I think even non-parents can agree with that. So, it's almost if you design the right product market fit, then you're in the right space at the right time. Is that how you found it? And also, how did you bring partners on board as well?
Yeah, so I think I'll start with sort of where you went as well. It's about solving a genuine problem. I think as an entrepreneur or as any startup founder, you can fall in love with your concept, but if it's not solving a genuine problem, it's probably not going to work. So, as you said, parents the world over recognize this. Doesn't matter which country you speak to, which nationality of people, they all recognize this as a genuine wish to find the best things to do with their families. Um, from there as well, I mean, UAE is a very unique place for many reasons. I mean, there's a large expatriate population here. And when we developed this product, we were actually thinking it was more going to be attractive to the expatriate population. But what we actually found is that we have a huge number of the local Emirati population who use our app, which is really, really rewarding and it is fantastic. So UAE was a great market to do this in. I think the government is also super supportive to startups. There's lots and lots of different incubators and accelerators out there. There's funding for startups. So it's a very good market to start a business. It's also relatively easy to set up a company here. So there were lots of factors which went into it, but ultimately it boiled down to that we thought there was a product that this would appeal to parents, and it did.
And so touching on some of that, where did you go about the free zone and the license, and where did you set up the company?
Yeah, there are many different free zones, and there are many different sort of benefits of different free zones. We actually ended up choosing Sharjah, Sharjah Media City, for a variety of reasons, in terms of flexibility, in terms of a variety of reasons. But there are many different ones to choose from, and there's even more since we originally set up the company.
And do you see the company as a platform? Do you see it as a utility, or is it a parental community, or how do you kind of differ, or is that all the same thing?
It's a good question. I mean, we set it up as a digital product because we ourselves are on the go all the time, and parents are on the go. And one of the things that most people don't leave the house with anymore without is your mobile phone. So it's definitely set up as a digital product that you can access anytime, anywhere. But we've included features and introduced features as we've gotten more insight from our customers about what other types of features they want. So, it has a lot of content on it. It has incredible deals on it. There's loyalty embedded in it. There's community in the form of you can share reviews, you can give feedback to other parents. Because again, as a mother, what I typically look for is reviews from other parents, mothers, because I know that they're going to be, they're going to be critical and saying how they experienced it. So there's a whole combination of things included in QiDZ.
Absolutely. I asked that question because sometimes in the past, media or publications would have classifieds and events and listings and things to do, but then other utility app providers do that, and now media does content, and it's kind of fragmented a bit. And then also, and I think it's particularly common in everywhere, communities online like Facebook groups and things like that. Lots of forums, but maybe not the actual price, location, time information. So is that really what the bridge that you gapped, the kind of listicles and the as in the classified, the information, but also the community and the dialogue as well of a social platform?
I would say that we're more on the former, i.e. that you can really find all the relevant information about location, about timings, about what the product is, etc. You can filter by age, you can filter by interest. So we've made the app as user friendly as possible, and you can book tickets online, like right through the app, which is a very important component of it, because otherwise you've only got that first part of the user experience. You actually want them to be able to waltz into the venue ultimately, so you can buy it. In terms of narrating and managing forums and discussions, that's actually not something that we are doing. I think that there are other platforms or other businesses in the market that look to do that. But we obviously have a very engaged community. We get direct customer feedback on a daily basis. We speak to our customers, and we do know exactly what it is that they're looking for, and if they need help in any particular area. Like one of the things that we introduced, particularly during the lockdown, was also some mental health support, because again, people are looking for things, and it's what's relevant to our user base, which is predominantly mothers. So we put in place content that's relevant.
Interesting. And you talked about the tickets and the booking. Is that the business model, or is the app free, or how does that work?
Yeah, the app is free. It's free, and indeed, getting commission from tickets sold is part of our business model. We also work with different companies who want to promote their products that are relevant to our target audience. So there's a component of advertising involved here as well.
Amazing. And how did you go about expanding to other markets? Was the app already set up in a way that was English Arabic, and did you have to have presence on the ground, or how did you decide to kind of go to another market?
Yeah, so part of an entrepreneur's journey.
Yeah.
Well, so our vision has always been to be not just be based in the UAE. So that was part of our original thinking back in January 2017, and it made sense that we'd look at markets that are in the region which are relevant. We thought it would be easy. It's always more complicated than you think.
Yeah.
But given that it has been part of our thinking, we had designed an app that was capable of doing of having English and Arabic in it. But there's small things you don't think about. So, for example, one of the things we hadn't thought about was different currencies. So we thought about the language component. That was easy. But then, of course, you need to have different currencies, and you need to, factor that in. So there's always additional steps that you hadn't thought about. And you can have a presence in different markets easily because it's a digital product, so that's very easy to do. But in terms of actually having a business or a viable business or growing a business, you actually need to have a presence on the ground. So there are other steps involved when you set up a new country.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I think for people who haven't done this and haven't set up a digital product like you have, thinking of one thing is one thing, and then implementing it is another. So even if you do think of the currencies, the actual process to do it, depending on the payment gateway, depending on having banks in different markets and license and documentation, can take a long time, right? Is that the thing that even if people think about it, is there expectations of the ability to execute on it? Is there a learning curve there as well?
Oh, absolutely. And then they say that, for every startup that succeeds, there's like 10 failed startups, and the failure is usually in the execution, as opposed to the idea. There are many ideas out there, but how do you implement it? Entering new markets has got all of those component parts. You've got the sort of legal business setup component requirements, which is all your licenses, and it's your payment gateways, as you said, and it's making sure that you're actually legally allowed to operate there. It's bank accounts, it's all that kind of stuff. Then you have your marketing component about it. How are you going to reach your customers? What's the process for doing it? Hiring, how are you going to hire a team? Where they're going to sit? Where they're going to work? How are you going to structure all of that? So there's multiple layers that you have to think about when you set up a new country.
And how did you go about it? Do you kind of put down a plan based on information available and research, or is it more of an iterative process where you're saying, okay, this is the best way to approach this, and you're a bit more flexible, especially as well during the pandemic? Or do you really stick to the plan and just adjust as you go?
I think one of the benefits of being, again, a startup is that you're very agile. I think that's an incredible benefit. And having come from a large corporate, which was a fantastic company to work for, it's definitely one of the benefits I see in being a smaller, more agile company. So, and the best laid plans, even at a corporate level, often don't pan out. So we have a vision that we are very clear on what our vision is and where we want to go to. We have a clear roadmap, I'd say, in terms of which markets, what are the business lines, product lines, etc. In terms of a really set in stone plan, no, we don't do that, because I think if COVID has taught us anything, the best laid plans can go completely haywire. So no, we don't do that. And then just in terms of just sort of maybe how do we learn how to do things? I mean, we were very lucky. Early on, we were part of the Shirab program, one of the Sharjah-based
entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And they give you really amazing foundation. And then we were very, very lucky. We were part of the MISC growth forum or growth
Foundation in Saudi Arabia.
program
Yeah.
program in Saudi Arabia that was partnered with Seed Stars and Vision Ventures. And both of those are incredible enablers to actually setting up your
Wow.
business, growing a business, and knowing the basics of the country in which you're expanding into.
Yeah, that's a really good insight, actually. There, and to be, congratulations on being selected for that, because even those sort of enablers and those programs, as you said, they're great support, but they have a lot of criteria, and for good reason, because they've got a lot of expertise and door openers as well. Is that are they the core markets? We also mentioned Bahrain and Egypt. So are you present in those 4 markets now, and how do you split your time?
Well, no, I have no idea how I split my time. Every day I start off with a list of things I'm going to do, and I never accomplish any of them. But I'm very busy all day.
I'm sure you do.
Obviously we started in the UAE. UAE is a core market for us. We've set our sights now on Saudi, on doing a lot in Saudi. We actually launched Saudi in the middle of a pandemic, so we can come back to that in a bit. And we have an ops team that's based in Egypt. And Egypt is a very large market, so it's a very interesting market. But we also have limited resources, so we can go one step at a time. And so we're focusing now on how do we grow in Saudi and how do we make Saudi a success.
Interesting. And of course, it's not currently possible to travel to Saudi, so a lot of that work must be done online. Were you able to continue your business virtually in the last 12 months, or did it cause some difficulties?
Well, so we launched in Saudi in June of 2020, so in the middle of the pandemic and still within a good period of lockdown and so on. If we talk about the UAE, when COVID hit, we are a company that operates in the leisure and entertainment space, mainly in the physical space, i.e., you go to buy tickets to attractions and you go to those attractions. So when you have a country that enters into a total lockdown where you're not allowed to go out, that has a very significant impact on your business. It also has a very significant impact on your customers. We basically, before lockdown happened, quite a bit before, so I think it was about the 20th of February of last year, we sat down as a team and we said, look, it's not looking very good. It was in China, it's now in Italy. It's not looking great. What do we need to plan for and what do we need to do? And we looked at it from a business perspective. What do we need to do in terms of protecting our business, and what do we need to do it from a customer perspective? And from a customer perspective, we launched a new product then. So by the end of February, we had a new product called Kids at Home, which was basically incorporating all the things that we had tried to do, which was inspire and empower parents in normal life. How do you inspire and empower parents when you're stuck at home and giving you're having to homeschool your kids? So that was a very good product to help parents and keep them engaged, which is what happened.
Interesting. Yeah, I was going to say, because I think with sometimes like that, you might have to pivot, you might have to change the vision, or you might have to, but you found that you could be that app or that support system for parents as well. Did that lend you going down okay, if they can't take the kids to the cinema, they might want to buy a board game, therefore we might introduce e-commerce, or what happened there? Would you do something like that?
So we explored different options. We partnered with our existing partners who were in exactly the same situation. So if you think about any partner out in the market, whether it's Oli or whoever it is, they had to shut down as well. They weren't able to monetize or do anything during that time. So we worked with different partners to help them think about how they could create online presence for us, to give them visibility, to make sure that they remained top of mind with our customers, etc. So that was on that side. We also worked with partners to bring on online products. So, online classes, whether they were magic classes or they were music classes, that you could get online support and purchase classes. And we did do some product purchases as well, products as well that were relevant. So activity kits for kids, magic kits for kids, different things that we also had on the app.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that digital classes space is getting really interesting, with a lot of people finding good value and good ways to kind of educate, especially for kids as well. In terms of product roadmap, is that a core function? A lot of people now, because technology has advanced so much, companies, even startups, tech stack can be quite big. You can plug and play a lot of different softwares. What is your experience and your view on that? Is that core to what QiDZ is? Do you build that yourself, or do you work with different partners and different platforms?
So I'm not 100% sure I answer the question, but are you talking about the online classes and online products?
Just in general, in terms of the technology that QiDZ is that proprietary technology? And what is your experience and your roadmap on that been like?
Oh, again, learning experience. So we're very lucky. One of my very, very good friends is also an investor in QiDZ, and he owns his own tech company based in the Netherlands, and he's amazing. And he really helped us in our tech roadmap. He actually has been instrumental for us in our success. We have built the app ourselves in house with him, and the technology is all proprietary. Yeah, if I was going to give advice to other entrepreneurs, I've got quite a lot of different advice I give on that one. I mean, tech is, being a digital platform, tech is, probably the single most important thing that you need after having the idea. And so I think it's really important to either speak to people who've done the work before and who've got experience doing it, or find the right partner who's really going to support you. Because if you get that wrong, I think you're in trouble.
Interesting. And to do that at the very start, did you think that this was a company that was going to go down a startup and a investing road and seek funding from angel seed and venture route? Is that something you decided, or is that something that you've done with QiDZ?
No, that was something that it was part of our original roadmap. We knew that this type of a business, the attractiveness of this business is that it appeals to a large group of people the world over. But to grow, you need to invest money. And to invest money, you need to get support. And what I've also learned as part of the process is that, and this always sounds very rich when I originally heard someone saying that, is if you're fundraising, you really need the money. But we've been incredibly lucky, by chance, I would say, maybe by a bit by strategy, to found amazing investors, really amazing angel investors, also even corporate institutional investors who genuinely understand what it takes to make a successful startup. And that is probably as valuable as the money, if not more valuable than the money.
Interesting. You say lucky. I think many people would love to be lucky in that situation, but I'm sure it's something that you told the story of the company well. Or how did you go looking for those partners?
Yeah, I mean, this was for me on a personal learning journey. This was a very different one. As I mentioned, I came from a large corporate where you'd submit a project plan with a budget, and 9 times out of 10, if you had a robust plan, it'd get approved. I mean, now you're going out basically to sell yourself, to sell a vision, to sell a company. And it absolutely was a learning journey. I think we spoke to the wrong people early on in terms of we were not at the right level. But we got a lot of feedback, and one of the benefits is that you can incorporate feedback. So that really helped us. But it was a very exciting day when we pitched the first angel investor, and he decided to invest in us. And it was very exciting. And then from there, once you've got one, the second one comes more easily. And
amazing, good to hear. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back with Simona in a moment. A reminder that this episode is powered by Zvoonie. Zvoonie has partnered with many great companies, including Sugarmoo. They are one of the leading dessert shops in the region. It's got your red velvet cake, vegan desserts, and every type of treat for a special occasion. Due to the nature of customizing cakes, Zvoonie plays a key role to help Sugarmoo transact with their customers on WhatsApp, Instagram, and any other social platform with a specific invoice based on the specific customer order. And we're back. Okay, Simona, we were talking about many things, and I feel like it's hard to tell people a full kind of 4 or 5 year journey from a startup and all the different things you need to learn. And most of it's hard, right? Most of it's hard. How do you kind of persevere with it? Where do you get the motivation and the discipline to stick with a project like this?
Very good question. So as I mentioned earlier on, we, my co-founders and I had always harbored sort of this personal desire to start your own business. And I don't know where that comes from, but it's just, I guess at some point you just want to try and do something different. And I think for us, what was really lucky is it all came together at that moment in time. It was the right moment in our lives to do it. Financially, we could take that risk, but there's a big personal risk associated with leaving a corporate salary-paying job to start off something that you've got no idea how it's going to work out. And I think what keeps us going, it's certainly my co-founders and the team are really, really important elements to it. The fact that every day, I see people who are motivated. I enjoy being around, and it's the team as well. It's not just the co-founders, it's the team as well. We've built a really, really fun, passionate, great group of people who work for kids and who are real brand ambassadors. So that's one of them. I think it's the feedback we get from parents, the fact that people really, really value the product. We get so much lovely feedback, and that's really motivating as well. Certainly having investors is motivational. I don't know whether it's motivational always on the positive. It's that responsibility that we have. People have invested in us and in a concept. They want to get a return on investment. So, I have a personal drive to, make this a success. And I think it's just seeing what you can do. If you told me 5 years ago or 4 years ago, whenever it was, that we would be live in Saudi in English and in Arabic, and that we would have, we'd be growing our customer base so rapidly and we'd have so many people engaged, probably I would say that sounds nice.
Yeah.
But the reality is amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's amazing that you've achieved that in a short space of time, relatively in different markets. Do you view this region as an emerging market? There's obviously less, we're at an earlier stage in terms of tech and startups than the US and Europe. Therefore, there are less success stories, and there's less, oh, well, they did it, therefore, let's just keep going and it'll happen for us, sort of thing. So, is that a kind of a vision that you really believe in this region, that you really think that this will happen and this is an emerging market, and you're going to kind of stick that journey, you and your partners?
I really believe in this region. So I'll start with that one. I really believe in it. I mean, there's some unique market dynamics that are here, right? You have a relatively young population. You have people where the concept of family is super important.
True.
In the UAE, you've got a very developed leisure and entertainment market. In Saudi, it's really emerging, and they're really, really investing a lot of resources and money into it. It's a product, or it's something that young Saudis are very excited about. So I see that the opportunity here is really different to more mature markets, and I think the timing for us is really pivotal and really, really important. I think that maybe in the US we would have had more access to funding, or it would have been, there's a stronger ecosystem. Let me phrase it that way. There's a stronger ecosystem, and you could find more people who would readily be able to mentor you, support you. Not that you can't find you, but it would be, it's more established. But I think the opportunities are less in a way, because, it's so much more of a developed market.
Yeah, absolutely. And but it's developing a lot. I think one of the statistics, from 10 years ago to now, in terms of mobile penetration, internet penetration, 5G, the kind of things that are in place makes it more possible for these success stories to happen. Touching on something else then, in terms of brand positioning and product positioning, we kind of alluded to earlier the logo and the branding, and of course many people have different opinions and it's very subjective, but how do you go about creating a brand for mothers or for parents? Like, how do you say that? How do you kind of get that message out? When people see kids, maybe they'll know, okay, it's obviously kids, but what else do you need? What else do you need to do to reach that audience?
I think the brand in itself is important, and it's it's the way that companies get recognized in longer term, and it's what sticks in people's minds. But what the product is, especially when you're starting, people don't even know that. So the logo itself, doesn't play that big a role in terms of whether a customer is going to use you or not. I think it's about having a clear value proposition for the parents. It's explaining what the problem is and how you solve it. what is fundamental. And then it's once people are aware of it, once they actually decide to try it, making sure that that experience is seamless, because you don't have many chances to get things wrong. Like you get something wrong once, you know, you lose your customer. So it's really about making sure that the customer experience is good. We found that word of mouth is incredibly powerful. You know, if you see something on your Instagram feed or wherever it is you spend your time on social media, it might register, you might click on it. But if your friend says to you, hey, there's this amazing app, you know, go and download it, you know, you're probably going to go do it on the spot. And so we get a lot of referrals. A huge amount of our business comes through referrals.
That's interesting. That kind of gives me the impression that the product and how much time people spend on the product and how much engaged and how good it is and how easy it is to use would be a core indicator and core priority for you. And in terms of marketing, would you like growth hacking? Would you like, say, 100,000 parents to download the product on day one, or would you prefer sort of 5 every day and that kind of doubles and then becomes 50 and becomes 100? Do you like to work from a core base, get feedback, and then iterate and improve?
Wow, loads of questions in there. So growth hacking, really important concept in our business and our industry, and part of what we learned in Shira and in MISC, and how do you structure the learning, because actually it is a learning, right? It's an iterative process. So as I said, we're really data centric. We're really data centric, customer centric. We spend a lot of time analyzing the analytics and seeing what customers are doing, and we speak directly to customers weekly to get feedback as well. If we have a new product that we're launching, we do A/B testing. We check. A/B testing means we have 2 versions of it, and we get feedback from our customers. So it depends on what the product is. Now, to your question about whether I want to have 100,000 users on day one or I want to have 5, I think if I'd had 100,000 users on day one that we launched, I think probably the system would have gone down. But it would have been an incredible success. But the way it's worked with us is that we've grown very rapidly, but in a way that we could actually manage, because as the number of customers goes up, so do the number of interactions with the customers, the transactions on your platform, and you rely on, you talked about payment gateway, you do rely on third parties for some elements of the customer journey. So they also need to be able to manage it. So I think reality is that growing consistently and well is probably the safer way to go. But I would happily tackle a problem of having too many customers in one day.
Interesting. It means you're confident in your product, Simona. I think that's good. It's a good sign. But just touching on that a little bit further, the kind of customer acquisition is quite a competitive space, because we're all, as well as the thesis for the kids mobile app is that you're a utility to make life a little bit easier for parents and help them find things in a time precious world as well. But equally, their attention is also precious on the acquisition side. Therefore, there's a lot of people trying to reach them, whether it's other things, other utility services. Do you find that challenging, that when you're doing, say, performance marketing, lower funnel customer acquisition, that you might be competing with a different industry or a different category as well for parents' time?
Yeah, I mean that's the reality in it, and it's a good question. We spend a lot of time on retention. So if you talk about the funnel, you can spend a lot at the top part of the funnel, but if they just churn, then it's not an ideal scenario. So we work a lot on retention, and we have really good retention rates. Because once we solve that problem for a parent, they tend to come back. It's maybe, you might not come back every single day, but every time you want to plan something, if you're looking for good projects, if you're looking for after school activities, you will come back because you know that you're going to find what you're looking for on the platform. And we also look at, the amount of time people spend on the platform. You asked about the user interface. I mean, that is fundamental. If you can't find what you're looking for on the platform, you'll get frustrated. So we have a user interface that we know works well.
Yeah, and how do you have focus groups with parents? Do you do some of this virtually? How do you kind of get involved in communities like that?
So we do a lot. So face to face, obviously for very valid reasons, the last year and a bit we've not done that. But we speak to users. We've tried to do group conversations. It's difficult over Zoom. I mean, the reality is it's difficult. It's very difficult to get everyone to give feedback and to sequence it. So we do a lot of one-on-one feedback with our customers at the moment.
Interesting. And is there anything that's maybe not surprised you, but impressed you in terms of what parents in the UAE and in KSA in this day and age are looking for in terms of providing activities for their kids?
I'm going to just flip the question slightly, but I'll try and come back to it. I think what's amazed me, and it's such a testament to the UAE and the way that UAE has handled this pandemic, is that post-lockdown business rebound was phenomenal, which was not something that I could have predicted. And it was a reflection, I think, of how confident the consumer in the UAE was that the measures that the government had put in place would protect them and their families. Honestly, when post lockdown, I didn't know what to expect. We knew that our users had stayed with us throughout the pandemic, which was amazing, but we didn't know whether they would feel confident to go out. And we saw an incredible rebound in Q3 and Q4, just incredible. So I think that's a testament to the UAE government. In terms of what people are interested in, it's really varied. Like, I'd say at the moment, probably there's a bigger interest in outdoor activities, just as a general rule. The weather's amazing, and I think that obviously there are still relatively high COVID numbers here in the UAE. People prefer that, but we have a whole mix of activities that people are using and going to. Saudi was in a lockdown until Friday night. So it's a bit too early for me to sort of say what they're going to be doing.
Yeah, and that is a good insight in terms of many of your providers, like all of us, would have been worried sort of March, April, May last year, and then what do they do with their businesses? But then that they can safely bring people back to physical environments has just been incredible to witness. And even in other markets in Europe and places like that, things are still in lockdown. So that, as you said, it's a real testament. And then in Saudi Arabia, but I just wonder on trends because I'm not a parent and I'm just not in touch with some like you in terms of your own children, but also the access you have to information. Because I was just wondering, are the requirements for kids the same now as maybe when I was a child? Are we looking for more? Is esports big? Are we looking for things like that, or do we still want to learn how to swim overarm? What do you?
That's a really good question. I think there's a mix of things. There in Saudi Arabia, family is such an important component. People spend a lot of time together as families. So they're very interested in places where maybe you can go and have food and the kids can play. So that's a very big thing that we see people doing in Saudi Arabia. There's been a lot of online products in Saudi. Schools have been shut until now.
Wow.
So there's lots of tutoring. There's some online classes that are happening. I think as a parent though, and maybe I'm speaking a bit out of turn here, but this is what I see, is that our kids have spent so much time online over the last year through no fault of their own, that we're really keen to get our kids outdoors and doing activities. And therefore, I have done online lessons for my daughter, but I tend to have a strong preference for her to be out running around playing football or swimming or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of parents feel that way.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting insight just in general. Like I've heard from a lot of parents of how difficult homeschooling was in terms of that social skills that's so fundamental of personal development in early ages, and that would be related for your customers as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'll speak on the personal level. Homeschooling is a very challenging concept. Yeah. I think my daughter, I was never meant to be a teacher. We both know that. I knew that beforehand, but it was challenging.
Yeah, amazing. But it's good that there are some digital opportunities, so all wasn't lost. So what's 2021 looking like for kids, Simona? What's the kind of outlook and beyond?
Yeah, 2021 is a really focus on strengthening our business here in the UAE and really getting a strong foothold in Saudi. And we're well on the way to doing that.
And will you be moving your HQ to the kingdom, to Riyadh, in 2024? We'll
Let's
see.
see how things evolve between now and then, and I'll take a call then. But
Yeah.
Saudi is amazing as well. I spent a lot of time in Saudi, and it really is amazing. And the first time I went to Saudi was in 2018, and between end of 2018 and end of 2019, physically I could see so many changes. It was phenomenal how fast it's changing.
Yeah, it's amazing, and a good note to finish on. It's an exciting time. Hopefully all will be safe and we'll come out of the pandemic, and it's a great region to be in. And in this digital physical world that QiDZ is involved in, we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for your time. It was lovely chatting to you today.
Likewise. Thanks, Simona, and keep in touch.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you once again to Simona Agolini, the co-founder and CEO of QiDZ. What an interesting story. Going through everything that we know, how hard it is and how impressive it is to produce a quality product in the market like they have done. So well done to the team at QiDZ. Just a reminder that this show was powered by Zmooni. Once again, a big thank you to them who help us bring this episode to you for free. Also, thank you to the show producer, Yana Kalashnikova, and the editor, Alibaba. Check out our other shows on Smashy TV and subscribe to Smashy to get more business news. See you next time on Dubai Works.